rich people are loud, wealthy people are quiet.
That's a
Right.
whole fact.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that 1 million, you can net worth, you're rich. If you got like, maybe over 2 to 5, you're considered wealthy. Cause that I think there's a difference.
Well, let's back into it like this mathematically, right?
Yeah.
So what does it take for you to be in the top 1% income wise in the US right now, currently? Is it like 400,000 or something like that?
Yeah.
400,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Over 400.
And let's say average saving rate of what, 20%?
So let's look at it like this.
Ooh, that's high.
So 10 million, my 10 million number was right? So if you have $10 million invested, the safe withdrawal rate is 4%.
Okay, so you back. Okay,
so that means you get $400,000 in income. So in my mind, $10 million makes you wealthy because you're in the top 1%. You would still be in the top 1%.
Your passive income keeps you in the top 1%, whether you do something or not.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
That's sexy. That's sexy. Yeah. Break it down really quickly though, because I don't think everybody followed what we just did.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show. Y'all, it's good to be back. Obviously, you guys know we do a lot of guest episodes, and so it's always fun when we get a chance to, just be the three of us and talk and connect on the pod. How y'all feeling, man? How y'all feeling?
I'm feeling amazing.
Yeah, I'm feeling blessed. I'm back at home, got the studio set up again. And since we're all in our respective offices, we don't have to worry about poor audio quality, right? So we want to apologize by letting you all know that when we're on the road and we're doing live podcast experiences, that the audio is not the best, but we plan to fix that. So we just want to be fully transparent, lean right into it, and let you all know that we want it to be a good visual experience, but we also want it to be a good audio experience. So I'm happy to be here, y'all.
Absolutely, y'all. And one of my favorite quotes is that you can live in the house while it's renovated, right? And so y'all are going to see a consistent evolution of the pod. We're just, a little over a year and some change old as a unit. And so, we just want to continue to get better. We don't want to use that time frame as an excuse because we operate in excellence. So we appreciate y'all for listening, in spite of any of those technical glitches. Hopefully that in spite of that, the content and the value that was delivered supersedes the circumstance. But so we want to get right into it today, guys, and talk about how Kanye West lost billionaire status seemingly overnight. Seemingly overnight. That's gotta hurt, right?
Yeah. So he went from black billionaire to black billionaire in the making real quick, didn't he?
Kanye, we got a sweatshirt for you. Kanye, we got a sweatshirt for you. But seriously, man. I mean, obviously, like one of our mission is to help create 100,000 new millionaires, right? And help you achieve your first 1 million in net worth. So we thought this would be a great episode just to talk about, the net worth as a metric, what it means, and how to just understand where you stand. So let's get right into it. So obviously, unless you've been sleeping under a rock, you have seen that the good brother Kanye has shared his perspective and his thoughts on the media, who's in power, and we're not a political show, right? So our job isn't to interpret the perception and was he right, was he wrong? We're talking about the numbers, right? And so it was reported, I think officially last year, the year before last, that he was, a billionaire. And as a result of it, right, like he got a lot of steam and attention, for that, because if you think about it, it took Jay-Z until he was like, I don't know, 52 or something like that to become a billionaire. It took Rihanna until she was like 31 to become a billionaire. And then Kanye, I think early 40s or something like that. So Kanye and Rihanna, came, essentially were mentored, if you will, or by Jay-Z. And so to be able to see what they were able to achieve in the time frame that they were able to achieve it in was a great feat. And so just now kind of seeing how things are transpiring with him unraveling that net worth, we thought it'd be good to talk about. So Carter, I'll let you kind of kick us off. What are your initial thoughts on it? What does it kind of mean to you when you see that?
Well, for me, it just really expounded my understanding of what net worth really means, right? So when we see people like that are in the media that are worth $1 billion, what I think everybody needs to understand is that they do not have $1 billion liquid cash at the bank. Right. Okay. Like, I think that, you know, a lot of people, especially in our society, oh, he's a billionaire. Like, he has $1 billion sitting around somewhere. No, that is not a case. It's based off a valuation predicted off future earnings, right? Which is cool because it's, you know, according to analysts, is going to happen soon. But what it also taught me is that because it's based off valuation, that number can change really fast. It can increase really fast, right? Like your net worth can go up overnight, but it also can go down overnight based off of what happens in the news, what happens in the media, and if something drastic happens to you know, one of your contracts or a company that you own. But for me, it was just like, man, like how quickly it happened surprised me, and like, yo, just like be quiet, like, you know what I'm saying, like, just like, bro, like, you literally like letting, like, you know, it's just crazy because we live in a space where, like, you know, media is such a prevalent medium in our world, and saying the wrong thing at the wrong time can cost you a lot of money.
A big bag alert.
Yeah. Your mouth writing a check that your butt can't cash is what they say.
Right. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Jacqueline?
So net worth, let's kind of take it a step back for those who are new to this or maybe young. So net worth, we're literally talking about assets minus liabilities. So net worth is the epitome of, I know y'all have seen the shirt. It says assets over liabilities. Net worth is the epitome of that, right? Like net worth. Net worth is it, okay? Because that is exactly how you get your net worth. You sum up everything that you own and you subtract everything that you owe, right? This is why we say, like, hey, don't carry a whole lot of credit card debt, right? Like, don't carry a whole lot of debt and owe a bunch of people money, not only because you got to pay all that back, right? But also because it feeds into your net worth. This is what creates that number that you have. And so I find it so interesting that we are talking about billionaires' net worths, and we always look at billionaires' net worths and how much they've lost and everything, but it works the same for us on our level, right? So when I take a snapshot of my net worth, it only looks like that for that very second in time, right? Like, the value of my investments are changing all of the time, all right? Especially during this 9 to 5 market open. Okay, so I think that it's key for us to focus on how do we build the asset side of our net worth so that we can get to millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire status.
Big facts. And, you know, just to be clear, guys, we're not trying to downplay the power and the value of net worth, right? It's just for every person, the context could be different, right? So for an everyday person, it could be very straightforward. You might own a house that's valued at $500,000. You might still owe $300,000. You might have, you know, $10,000 in the bank, right? And that is very easy to calculate your net worth, maybe a little bit of credit card debt, right? But when you own businesses, you own something called intellectual property as well, right? You own licensing rights, right? There's these things that are somewhat intangible in theory, right? And so there are valuations placed upon that. And so that kind of goes into your number. When you look at billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg, who he lost, I think, over $100 billion in the past year, which is nuts. He's still a billionaire, right? Still super rich. And you look at like Elon Musk, right? A lot of their net worth is tied up into the company they own. So the same way we might own stocks, because they're the founders and CEOs of these companies, they own a lot more than we do, right? And so their net worth, a lot of it is tied to the value of the company. So if the stock tanks or it ebbs and flows, that's why they can see such dramatic swings in their net worth, because it works both ways. Like you guys have heard me say before, that wealth is made through concentration, but it's preserved through diversification, right? So like our businesses are the catalysts that are gonna make us money, right? What you do, well, I'll put it like this. Rich people do the right things. Wealthy people own the right things, right? So our businesses in and of themselves isn't what makes us wealthy. It's the equity in our businesses and also what we do with the profits that ultimately make us wealthy.
What's up, guys? Congratulations on joining Team Black Wealth. But we'd be remiss if we didn't give you a uniform as an official player on the team. So head over to shop.melaninmoney.com and grab your official uniform for Wealth Builders Academy. We'll see y'all in practice.
Right. And so net worth is still the gold standard when it comes to your net worth. You just got to understand there's levels to it. Right. Like yours might be very black and white with the assets on your balance sheet. And then somebody else might say, I own this logo or rights to this. And it's technically, if I could sell it, in theory, someone would buy it at that, it's worth X. And that's why my net worth is what it is. So I don't want anybody to listen to this episode and think like, oh man, these billionaires be finessing and they ain't really got it like that. They just don't have it all in the bank. Right.
You don't want it all in the bank. Because if it's in the bank, it'll be losing 7% a year. Right. So you don't want it in the bank. I think another important aspect we need to look on is like how important ownership is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, ownership equals equity, and then equity helps with your net worth. So Kanye West became a billionaire so fast. It wasn't off his music that he didn't own. It wasn't off his masters that he didn't own. It was off the brand, the intellectual property of what Yeezy stood for, right? And what Yeezy was. That was a majority of his net worth. Rihanna, the same thing with Fenty. I think she only owns like 15 or 20% of Fenty.
Not even. Of Fenty specifically, yes.
Yeah. But it still gave her billionaire status because like she still owns a good portion of that intellectual property. So I think that ownership needs not to be overlooked, especially if you want to build that net worth. Because if you rent something, it's not going to your net worth, right? But if you own something, whether it's a business, whether it's real estate, whether it's stocks, like, you know, you're an owner in these companies when you buy these assets, and that increases your net worth substantially. And I think that although it can go down quickly, it can also go up quickly. I mean, how many times have you all woke up like, oh, my net worth just increased 7%, like this is 7% today, and I did nothing. So I think that needs to be understood and respected, that ownership is really what we need to be aiming for as we put our money to work for us.
Shameless plug before Jacqueline goes. If you want to read more about Rihanna's net worth and how she achieved billionaire status, check out my article in Essence, by the way, that was featured the other month. Go ahead and shameless plug that.
Let's go.
Jacqueline, we'll pass it out to you.
Now I was going to say, Carter, you're hitting it on the head, right? I've said this before. There's nothing wrong with renting. There's nothing wrong with renting an apartment. There's nothing wrong with leasing a vehicle. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. The key is that in order for you to build equity, in order for your net worth to grow, you have to own things. Ownership is key because ownership is where the equity is, but it's also where the legacy is, right? So we talk about growing our net worth. What are we growing our net worth for? It's probably for the legacy, right? Because at a certain point, a lot of us will know you hit that millionaire status and you're like, all right, well, this is cool, but like, what else is there? Like making money is cool, but like, what else is there, right? So the ownership is where the equity is, and it's also where the legacy is. But let me ask y'all a quick question. What is considered a rich net worth to you? What net worth does somebody have to be considered rich? Carter, what do you think?
That's actually a good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked that question. People ask like, how much income do you make to be considered rich? But net worth, I would say, if you got, put it like this, if you got $500,000 in net worth, you're doing really good. Because if you got $500,000 in net worth, that means you probably had some years, if not a decade, where you were earning six figures, right? To be able to put away that. Because if you earned $100,000 a year for 10 years, you would have to have invested, 50, quote unquote, 50% to have that net worth, or 30% if it grew. So I think that $500,000, if you have $500,000 in net worth, you're considered to be rich because you've probably been earning a lot for a long time, because most people aren't saving 40 to 50% of all the money that they earn.
That's a good explanation. What do you think, George?
I would have to say, I don't know, just something about that coveted $1 million mark, right? Having $1 million net worth is like, okay, cool. Maybe I made $1 million, but I didn't do as good with it as I could. Maybe I, spent $1 million, whatever. But to have $1 million net worth, right? That's a true millionaire to me, because I can make $1 million, right? Anybody can make $1 million. And I say that confidently because I believe that y'all listening can make $1 million too. Yeah. But to have $1 million net worth means you did the right things. You owned assets. In my mind, you're a true millionaire, in my opinion. So That's my take.
That's interesting. Y'all set the bar a little bit low, okay? Because the rest of the world thinks that Americans, according to Schwab's 2021 Modern Wealth Survey, says that it takes a net worth of 1.9 million to qualify a person as being wealthy.
You said rich.
You said rich.
You said rich. If
It
you
also
said wealthy, I would have changed my answer.
I would have went like 10 M's if you said
yeah. You said wealthy. I would have been up to over 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because rich and wealthy, like are two different. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all are into it. They use the words here interchangeably in Charles Schwab's Modern Wealth Survey.
Yeah,
so
I think those are two very different personas of people, because rich people are loud, wealthy people are quiet.
That's
right?
a whole
You know what I'm saying? So I think that 1 million, you can net worth, you're rich. If you got maybe over 2 to 5, you're considered wealthy. Because that I think there's a difference.
Well, let's back into it like this mathematically, right?
Yeah.
So what does it take for you to be in the top 1% income wise in the US right now, currently? Is it like 400,000 or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Over 400.
And let's say average saving rate of 20%.
So let's look at it like this.
Ooh, that's high.
So 10 million, my 10 million number was right? So if you have $10 million invested, the safe withdrawal rate is 4%.
Okay, so you back. Okay,
so that means you get $400,000 in income. So in my mind, $10 million makes you wealthy because you're in the top 1%. You would still be in the top 1%.
Your passive income keeps you in the top 1%, whether you do something or not.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
That's sexy. That's sexy. Yeah. Break it down really quickly though, because I don't think everybody followed what we just did.
Yeah, sure. So let's do it in real layman's terms. So somebody who's probably a lot nerdier than us, even though we're probably finance nerds, they figured out a calculation that says if you take the annual amount of money that you want in retirement, financial independence, we don't use the word retirement. It's kind of a dirty word around here. Yeah, but if you take the annual amount of money that you want passively, right, you multiply that by 25, that'll give you the total amount of money that you need invested to produce that cash flow, right? And so the other way you can reverse engineer it is you take that big number, in this case, 10 million times 0.04, which is what they call the safe withdrawal rate. Meaning, in theory, through all the calculations and simulations that they've done, you can safely withdraw 4% from your portfolio and you should not run out of money. And I say should because it's a very high probability that you won't, but nothing's guaranteed. If the world goes to crap and there's some other variables beyond our control that we've never seen before in our lifetime, it could happen. But all things remaining constant, you could not run out of money. So the thing you want to think about, though, given that math, is many people don't quite have close to $10 million, right? So think about what you're making right now in income. And is that enough to navigate your lifestyle? And then multiply that by 25 and say, am I on track? Am I close to hitting that target? Now, we've done classes and podcasts in the past on how you can expedite that journey and not have to wait on accumulating millions of dollars in a portfolio. But the simple math on how you get there is that.
Yeah. And I think that the reason why most people don't focus on net worth is because there is no reward for net worth, and it's something that's not often shared, right? Like if you make 100,000, hey, yo, I made 100,000. If you made $1 million, like, yo, I made $1 million. People ain't out there talking about like, hey, my $1 million in net worth. Oh, I got 100,000 in net worth. And I think that's why it's so dope that what we're doing, shameless plug, inside the Melanin Millionaire Club, right? We just ordered awards that our members will be receiving for achieving certain areas of net worth. So whether it's your first 10K in net worth, your first 50K in net worth, your first 100, you're going to get rewarded physically for achieving that milestone. And I think, I know that if more people got rewarded publicly and like physically for investing their money in assets, the whole world would change. Like there would be no black wealth gap. If I could bring my 100K a net worth award to the club, there ain't gonna be no black wealth gap. Sit there right next to my section, put it right here, right? And I think that's what is so dope of what we're doing with our community, is that we're actually rewarding them for investing. And I think once that starts to happen and that becomes the norm, that we will start chasing that versus chasing things.
Absolutely. Down, clip that up. We're gonna need this for 2023.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a real question. Would you not be scared to have your 100K award in the club at some point? Because money changes people, right? So you don't think something would happen to you in terms of safety? Like if you got that at the table at the club?
Here's the caveat to that, right?
I don't got the money on me, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
What's going on, guys? My name is George Acheampong.
I'm Jacqueline Shattuck.
And I'm Carter Cofield.
And we are the founders of Melanin Money. And the reason why we started Melanin Money is because we know that there's a great disparity when it comes to building wealth among people of color. We have a tremendous mission that we want you guys to join, right? Every single year, we want to help at least 1,000 people improve their net worth by $100,000, which will create $100 million of new Black wealth every single year.
Can you imagine $100 million of new Black wealth every year? As it stands right now, for every $1 that a white family has, a Black family has a mere 10 cents to match that dollar. We want to increase the wealth in the Black community so that we can have equal opportunities.
Simply put, we're about closing the wealth gap, and it starts with you.
So, see you inside.
The caveat to that is two things. Number one, and this became really prevalent. I actually rode up to, and I didn't even go to A&T, but I went to UNCG, but A&T was right across the street, and people think I'm an Aggie, so I always go to their homecoming. So I rode up there just for like the Saturday, just to kick it with some of my good friends. And because I've been in so many other rooms and conferences and experiences with certain types of people, I say that to say that like what it revealed to me is, to answer your question, yes, in the wrong room. I would be scared to have that in the wrong room, right? In certain rooms,
like the club,
right? In other rooms, it's like, oh, bro, just 1 million.
Yeah.
Or just 100,000. So, but I mean, jokingly, but realistically, it would be celebrated in other rooms. And so for me, I'm going to continue to spend most of my energy in the rooms where I would be celebrated for those types of achievements and milestones and not frowned upon, because there are spaces in rooms and relationships that we've accumulated over our lifetime where it would be like, yo, bro, you flexing, calm down. You too loud, be humble. And there's other rooms it's like, yo, bro, once you get the next one, when you get the $5 million.
That's good. That's good.
Well, that's like on the stage where we were part of the 600K that was raised like what in like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a room you can come in and be like, this is my 100K award, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's kind of the same story of like, I can't show that off everywhere, just like I can't bring everybody with me.
Facts.
And that's just a notion that everybody can't go, right?
Everybody can go.
Like one of my favorite quotes of my
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, you already know. I said it's at a conference. They was like, ooh, like,
I
you know
haven't heard it.
No, you know, Neo, he says like, you know, why is my favorite car the Lamborghini? I'm like, bro, because it's a Lamborghini. That's why it's your favorite car. He said, nah, man, the reason why the Lamborghini is my favorite car is because it only could fit one person at a time. That reminds me that everybody can't go where I'm trying to go, right? So if you can't bring your net worth award some places, maybe you don't need to be in that place in the first place, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't need to be in that place in the first place. And we need
Clip
to start
that up.
We need to start really, I'm gonna try not to go on a tangent here, auditing the rooms that we're in. Man,
oh, that's a fact.
Yo, like I was in the room the other day and I'm just like, yo, I felt my motivation dropping by being around people that were saying certain things. And I was just like, yo,
what was going on?
It was just the conversations that weren't appealing.
They care about the things that you care about.
Yeah, just like, this is what we talking about. And in 30 minutes of that, I was like, yo, no. Right. And then I go around other people and it's like, okay, there we go. I get my motivation up. And like, we can be as strong mentally as we want to, but like George always says, motivation and inspiration is like a bath. You need one of these every single day. So you can't just get motivated, inspired one day and then go hang around dirty people for 4 or 5 days and expect to still be clean or inspired. I'm just being real. Yeah, that's
real. And you know what? And that's the thing I struggle with, because like I asked Dave on the podcast as well. You know what I'm saying? Like he tried to Dave is a nice guy. He tried to circumvent it, but I know there's people that Dave has outgrown, and he didn't want to probably say it publicly, but like it's a real thing, and it's not like there's no knock to that person. You know what I mean? And I think the way I like to think about it is, imagine we're on a track, right? Or we're running the race of life, and at some point I might be a little bit further ahead. I'm not necessarily leaving you behind, but I'm also not slowing down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you happen to get your stamina up and catch up, or I need to kind of take it easy because I've been going hard, and you end up running beside me again, great. But you can't expect me to slow down. You can't expect me for me to put you on my back. You know what I'm saying? And I think, but it's hard because we also have giving spirits. And when you go and get certain information, you get in certain rooms, you want to tell everybody, right? But then when you realize you dropping seeds on people, like, damn, they still ain't execute on that. Like, damn, they still ain't, or they're not interested and they want to talk about some BS. It's only so long you can be around that energy until you're like, yeah, I can't be a part of this. And it's hard because you don't want to seem like you're an a-hole or you're holier than thou or you've arrived and you're too good for these people. But it's like, we had the same opportunity and we still do. You know what I'm saying? Like to the net worth example, it can change. Listen, success is rented. So shameless plug for all you podcasts out there in our lane, success is rented. Melanin Money is on your heels, right? Respectfully and friendly competition. So it's not to say that we're here and we can never like be on the same level again, but I can't shrink myself. I can't, what's the quote I used to say? I can't appease your insecurities to make you feel good. You know what I'm saying? And then in the process, shrink myself. But it is, I'm not gonna lie, it is something I struggle with. I got like a lot of childhood friends who I love to death. And it's like, the old George used to try to compartmentalize, right? But the new me, it's like, it's hard. Cause like to your point, there's certain spaces and things that y'all care about, I don't even care about anymore. I'm gonna feel, y'all probably gonna feel that energy after a while. So is it best that I'm just not in the room? You know what I mean?
Is it because you're a dad now?
Nah, I mean, it was before then. I mean, I think being a dad definitely raises your level of priority because you just literally don't have as much time. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
And if you're giving your time away, it's better to be well spent because like your first thing, I could be with my son, bro. Like
the whole fact. You know what I'm saying? And he's still young, so he doesn't do the night all the time and all the, so like everything I still show up for. Like I always tell Mad, she was like, "Oh, you didn't get as much sleep tonight or whatever." Like my clients don't care about that. But podcast, I mean, granted, we're a team, and if I need to take some time off, y'all will let me. But like the world keeps moving regardless, you know, and that's just the way it works. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. Like the world is going to keep spinning regardless of what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? So with my time, I'm not finna be playing around with you knowing that fact. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's hard. I still struggle with it, but I try to give myself grace because like I'm not somebody that cuts anybody off, but if you ain't talking about nothing, and it's a one-sided relationship, it's just not gonna last.
Yeah. I think you're touching on exactly how I feel about it, right? Like I've had that DM, that question, that comment so many times, like, how do I get around people? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, aside from joining the Melanin Millionaires Club, right, where we are a group of wealth builders, including those of us you're listening to right now, my favorite thing to do is literally to just focus on what I'm building, right? Focus on what I'm building, focus on what I'm doing, focus on what I'm trying to achieve, because everybody else will fall off. Right. So that person that does that BS thing that you're not really up for doing anymore because you're growing, you don't have to tell them that. You do not have to tell them that at all. You just say, yeah, I'm unavailable to meet y'all at the club. I got some other things going on. Right. Oh, what you got going on? Well, actually, I'm studying. I'm growing my net worth. I'm learning. Right. So you don't have to intentionally cut them off and be like, I'm just not going to be friends with you no more. You don't have to do all that. Just focus on what you're building. Everybody else who's not supposed to be there is just going to fall off. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I say this, the soreness of growth is much less expensive than the devastating cost of regret.
Wait a second. Say that again. Hold on, Queen. Let me borrow that right quick.
The soreness of growth. Go ahead.
All right. I got it. The soreness. Okay.
He's taking
that. I speak about. So
I've heard a similar quote. I like the way you put it though, because it made me think more. It made me like put me in the place at the gym. Like,
the athlete. Yeah. It's the soreness of growth.
The soreness of growth is much less expensive than the devastating cost of regret. Right? Isn't that a bar though? Like. It's so much better for you to experience your muscles being a little bit sore and you getting the body that you want versus every day you waking up and eating crap and being like, dang, I feel like crap. I don't feel good today. I feel like trash.
You know what's so crazy? I'm glad you said that because like, I think the disconnect is going from bad to good is a logical and easy transition, right? If you don't have any money, if you're broke, like it makes sense that you got to start doing stuff to get out of that situation. Where I think people actually are more hung up is going from good to great. Yeah. Right. Because you're
period.
Right. So it's like, okay, so it's like you're not uncomfortable. Right. And so it's like it's much harder to make that transition because it's like, well, life isn't terrible. It's not necessarily the best that it could be, but it's okay. It's decent. But if you homeless on the street and it's cold and it's raining, that's a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're like, let me figure out how to get a house.
Exactly. People have to voluntarily make themselves uncomfortable. It's like Michael Jordan used to do. You know what I'm saying? Like he would make up rivalries in his head so that he could perform at a high level. And I think we have to like success leaves clues, right? So it's like we're not expecting you to be broke and homeless and ashamed and whatever. We're saying there is a gear, right? Going back to the Ferrari analogy. The Ferrari can go however fast the Ferrari can go, 250, 270, whatever it is. Look at your body.
0 to 100 in 1.4 seconds.
What'd you say?
0 to 100 in 1.4 seconds.
That's
Okay.
nuts. Look at your body and your life the same way. Don't you at least at one point want to see what it's fully capable of? Or do you always just want to drive 35 miles per hour? Imagine owning a Ferrari and only ever touching 35 miles an hour. And that's what a lot of people are doing in their life. Like you got Ferrari engines inside of you, right? And y'all are only touching 35 miles an hour, if that.
What's going on, guys? I'm George.
I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Carter.
And we are your money mentors. But today we wanted to talk to you about a really special feature, Financial Flicks. Can you imagine an entire on-demand library of financial content across 3 main categories: wealth building, entrepreneurship, and personal finance, so that you can take your finances to the next level?
Guys, when you replace entertainment with education, your life will change forever. Imagine replacing 1 hour of Netflix with 1 hour of Financial Flicks. Imagine how much further that could take you to your financial destination. And we have the perfect library for you.
Yeah, so if you're ready to Financial Flicks and chill with us to put more of your energy into education, then join us in the club. We can't wait to see you there.
See you there.
You know what I'm saying? And so we actually told the web team to update the website. Instead of financial social network, it's financial social net worth.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because who in your ecosystem, right, is going to raise the value of your network? It's so real. Because think about it. If you're around valuable people and they have value that you now can exchange and leverage, that is inherently going to raise your value. Not to mention, when people from the outside of the room see who you're connected to, that elevates your status based upon the connection that you have and vice versa. So you hear these arbitrary quotes like, you're the sum total of your closest best 5 friends, but it's so real.
Because
it's
what people don't understand is those 5 friends have other 5 friends that respect them, right? Like I think and we've been way on a tangent about from net worth to getting in the room, but I think
it's all kind of intertwined
because this is like relationships help with your net worth, right?
That's how you build it. Yeah.
Yeah. Your net worth is 1 letter away from your net work. I believe
you got to do the math. Hold on.
Yeah. Is
it 1 or 2?
Yeah, somebody one or two. I might have
3. It's 3.
Okay. Anyway, y'all get my point. But no, seriously,
we can't spell.
Yeah, I get paid to do numbers, bro. I swear, I tell that to my students all the time. But what we need to understand is that the reason why that's so important is because those 5 friends have 5 friends, right? And so now your degree of separation from really, really successful people is closer than it would be if you weren't in that room, right? Because if you have one friend that's successful, he has another friend that's successful, you're now tied to him because they all respect you. And at this age, we only hang around, especially our top 5 friends, are people we respect and we will like put on the line for. So I know I've got some opportunities from hanging out with George and Jacqueline and everybody else who I hang around these groups. I get monetary opportunities just off their word in general. Like if he vouches for you, bro, you good, right? So how good is your close friend's word to get you the opportunities that you need is the question.
That's a fact. It literally just happened like 20 minutes ago. So one of our former podcast guests, or alumni, I should say, former makes it seem like we fell out or something. One of our alumni podcast guests, Asia, dropshipping queen, and also did a class for the club. She was trying to get connected with my guy, Gamal, who we also got to get on the podcast because, as you know, he exited an ecom business for 8 figures. And now he teaches people how to do it. And she's all about drop shipping and ecom. And so she was in the comments. She's like, I'm gonna subscribe, and share YouTube videos. So maybe you can respond to my message. She said it jokingly, but he's trying to get on his radar. So I pulled a Carter and I was like, how can I make somebody's life better today? And I just sent a voice note between both of them. I said, hey, both of y'all are super dope. Gamal, it would be a mutually beneficial connection. Think y'all should tap in. And then immediately he responded. Because now it's like, I rock with George. And so I have a relationship with him. And he's not gonna co-sign anybody that he doesn't, rock with. And so now, again, your network is your net worth. And so I didn't have to do that, but I'm connected to her. I think she's super dope, and that's how it happens. So it's so important to get in the room. And I know we went on a tangent here. This is the last time I'll say about getting in the room, but people always misconstrue why being in the room is important. They always think it's about the person on the stage when you don't realize it's about the other people who have the same audacity as you to invest that money. Because guess what? If they had that same audacity in themselves to invest that money, what does that mean about them and who they are, right? And who they know. So I know we went off on a tangent, guys, but it's all interrelated with your net worth in a very, very abstract way.
Yeah. Because like,
no,
again, go ahead, Jack.
No, it is. I was going to say, like, what is your guys' favorite way to build your net worth? I mean, having a good network really helps with that. But Carter, what's your favorite way to build your net worth so far?
So
That's a great question.
It's a great question. I got to answer for you. So, shout out to George and shout out to Trap, all my homies who love investing in the stock market, right? But it's before I started investing in the S&P 500. Shout out to my boy Alex Hormozy. I like investing in the SME 500 because when I started investing in myself, my net worth skyrocketed faster than it did when I was investing in the stock market or real estate. Like, whatever you decide to do. My favorite investment to increase my net worth currently is by investing in myself through education, because one piece of information can make me an extra $250,000 a year. I can now take the extra $250,000 and invest it in other things like the stock market or real estate, crypto, whatever. But I haven't seen a faster return on investment than investing in myself through information and education. So that has been the dramatic increase in my net worth and probably my current favorite investment. And I think I'm like $350,000 in on personal development like the last 2 years, which is crazy, but it's been paying dividends.
So you bought a house on personal development.
I bought a house on personal development. That's crazy. Yeah.
Nah, and actually what's funny is like people automatically assume that I would say like the stock market first, but like
I wanted anyone to disrespect you. I'm like, shout out to you. What I'm saying?
People would assume that, but like the truth of the matter is it's the same for me, which is why one of my favorite quotes is wealth is made through concentration, is preserved through diversification. And so it's like my most concentrated asset is investing in myself, in the businesses that I'm able to create from the information that I've gained, right? That's, if y'all listen to our episode on the wealth triangle, like that's what the wealth triangle is. It's like you make you money. That's the first part. Until you get that right, you're screwed, right?
Exactly.
Because even if you get 100% return on your investment in the stock market, $1,000 investment is just gonna turn into 2,000, and that ain't gonna change your life, right? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. So you making you money is the first one. Then it's building a scalable business where people or systems make you money, and then your money making you money. So for me, it's actually third on the totem pole, right? Because my account value can move 1-2% and it be meaningful because I was able to put enough money there. I don't have to glorify 300% returns because I don't need it. I don't need it, right? Because I invested in me first and was able to leverage that to invest in other areas. So I agree wholeheartedly. And I couldn't give it a second answer because it would be disingenuous. Because that's the truth. There's no other better investment myself.
Yeah, that's really where it is, right? Especially when you come from a family that's not full of entrepreneurs, that's not full of successful business people. You have to go, I'll say it because it's what I went through. Like, I feel like you have to go 10 times harder, because some of the things that I found out that I was learning in college, some of my counterparts who went to private school and grew up in money, they already knew that stuff. They're like, you didn't learn that stuff a long time ago? No, fam, I went to public school. They didn't teach me that, okay? And my family didn't teach me that. So I had to work harder to learn those things. So I will agree with y'all in saying that that's the best way to do it. I will say that a second for me was businesses. Like, that was how I got my first 6 figures, was investing in businesses. So I don't want you guys to overlook that, right? Like we were touching on it earlier. It's cool to rent. It's cool to own. It's cool to have a job, but ownership is where the equity is. So if you're trying to grow your net worth exponentially, you need to own something, right? So whether you have a W-2 and you do something on the side that you own, like, you need to figure out where you're going to start owning things. And you can own a business for basically no startup cost, right? It doesn't have to be crazy expensive to get started, but you need to start owning something.
That's a whole fact. And go ahead, that's it, Carter?
No, I was just agreeing with her. Like, my second investment is probably my business, because it's investing in team members and ads and marketing and stuff like that. So those are probably my top 2. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, you also have to compare apples to apples, right? So it's like, that's all I try to tell people. Like, you would never want to compare your stock market returns to your business, right? It just doesn't make sense. And you would never want to compare your stock market returns to, let's give another example, a life insurance policy or something like that, right? So it's like, first thing you want to do is compare apples to apples, right? So it's like, okay, when I'm thinking about what makes the most sense to invest in, it's not necessarily like I'm just going to arbitrarily choose this because it's better than that. it's also a matter of like comparing apples to apples as well.
Yeah, because think about your business returns. You literally spent your time, effort, energy for that return. The stock market return, you plug and play, baby. Plug and play right there.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to be able to transition this money from here over into this other bucket, because that's money that you literally make while you sleep, while you work, while you hang out with your family, right? So it's important that you figure out like how to get one bucket to the other. But to your point, like, yeah, don't compare the two because it doesn't make sense.
Right. They serve two different but very important purposes, because if you don't eventually transition, you can make all the money in the world, but then you still haven't created assets that are going to produce the cash flow. So guess what? We got to still produce it is you.
Not
right?
to mention it's a different tax rate on active income versus passive income, and long-term gains versus short-term gains. So it's all, it's all coming together for us to understand the entire picture of money, of income, of net worth, which I think that we gave a phenomenal holistic picture on this episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always fun when we get to, I mean, we love our guests, absolutely, but we get a chance just to chop it up and have candid conversations, because, normally we're on the other side of the mic asking questions to amplify our guest. And so we have made a commitment to make sure that we don't forget to just hop on here and provide you guys timely and relevant games. So what we'll end with, guys, is two simple things. One more
thing. I want to encourage y'all, as you're building your net worth, and this might sound crazy, I want to encourage you not to check your net worth consistently. Don't check your net worth every day, right? Because a lot of times your net worth isn't going to move as quickly as you want it to. And I don't want it to be demotivating, right? What you need to be checking every day is your bank account, right? Checking where you're making money and where you're spending money, because that's going to be huge, because sometimes you may spend money, but it may be an investment and not an expense that's no longer on your net worth, right? So say I made an investment of $55,000 into a mastermind, that's not going to show up on my assets category, right? Yes. It is going to show up as a loss on my net worth. So then my net worth is going to go down. But guess what? That's an investment that I made, right? That doesn't have that exact monetary return. So I want to encourage you guys, check your net worth maybe twice a year, but keep up with what's going on in your bank account, right? What money's coming in, what money's going out for motivation.
You know what? That made me think of a great business idea for people who have masterminds. Somebody should create a technology out there that masterminds can leverage, that basically the same way you can track your
Wait, so we just giving out free business ideas?
Yeah, because people don't execute anyway. Right. Somebody should create the software that basically you can plug in how much money you spent, and then it has a way to, every time you've made trackable money from information that you learned from the mastermind, that it plugs in and you can track the growth of that way. It's easy. It'll be so much easier for you to resell them the next year, right? If they're actually winning. So that should be a part of like the program. Anyways, I think that'd be super cool, because if you can track your net worth, like when Jacqueline said that you can't see that yet, right? It made me think about the fact, well, what if you could see it? And that would be super cool. So somebody create that software. That'd be super dope.
Facts. I'll pay for it.
But yeah, as we close, we're a tactical podcast. So if you guys do not currently use a aggregation tool, we've shared this in the past on another episode, make sure that you plug into a tool that allows you to track your net worth, right? So whether it's Personal Capital, which is free, whether it's the OG mint.com, I believe you can track your net worth on there, right, Jacqueline? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mint.com or something of the sort. There's plenty of aggregation tools out there nowadays that will allow you to track your net worth so that you can know where you stand, right? You want to know where you stand and know where you are. So we'll leave you with that. And also, guys, remember that your net worth is the gap between your income and your ego, right? Your net worth is the gap between your income and your ego, right? If you get distracted by the shiny balls, what everybody else is doing, and you start spending money that you don't need to spend on things that don't build you up because you want to flex and stunt, that's your business, right? But just remember that when you start going out and spending money. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. It was a pleasure. And until next time, peace.